and I got a massive like dose of equality and women's rights and children's rights and elderly rights and basically like really put in my place about what being a white male in the United States is.
Hello there.
It's your old pal. And today...
Don't forget to fucking slap that like button.
Tim keeps breaking the fourth wall.
For today's video, I interviewed Tim
McCaffrey for my podcast, The Secret Formula, which I will be presenting to you today. Tim is a musician.
Hard shell on the outside, shell soft in the middle. Take a hammer to the shell just to watch you fall.
And he also has his own graphic design company called Yosemite Design. For today's podcast, we will be talking about topics such as the harsh realities of being a graphic design artist and what it was like for Tim working at a center for nonviolent communication. You are required to click all the links down below to support Tim.
I have spoken.
What's up, dude?
Hey, how you doing?
Pretty good, man. I know we were going to talk a little bit when I first called you. We were testing everything, but what you been up to?
Nothing.
Nothing? Just quarantine season?
It's COVID season.
Oh, yeah.
But because of that, like all my all the summer plans got canceled. Festivals got canceled.
Oh my God.
Vacations got canceled. So really like been working on the house and recording a bunch of music. And then trying to get creative with that stuff pretty much.
Sweet, dude. Yeah, I've been noticing like nowadays I was going to mention is due to all the coronavirus stuff, it's mostly like bands doing a lot of like virtual concerts. I've even seen some stuff online about like coronavirus concert suits. They like look like something out of like a Daft Punk. You'd see it like a Daft Punk concert. Even these,
like hazmat suits.
Yeah, basically, but they're all like futuristic looking.
Yeah.
And there's also this like Bubble Boy type of deal, and like you'd see like a Bubble Boy mosh pit going down. You know?
Oh, like the where you're inside the thing.
Yeah, one of those types.
That's kind of awesome, though.
It is. It does sound pretty fun. Like at least you're out there.
Do you have your legs out?
I don't think so. I think it's like straight hamster status.
Because if you had your, those, have you seen those? Like the bubble. It's like it's a bubble, but it ends at your just below your waist.
Oh yeah, that would be better actually.
Yeah, because then you're fully protected. You got your body shield, and then you actually have control over your legs, so you can target people.
No, that makes sense.
And then I also think if you're on the sidelines wearing one of those, you can like help people from falling over. Typical mosh pit etiquette.
Gosh.
Without arms.
Yeah, I guess it has to be without arms. Yeah, I've noticed you guys have done like a couple gigs with 3 to Get, and they've been at Dardanelles, right? I feel like that's like the perfect crowd for you guys, especially.
Dardanelles is awesome. Like the whole scene is awesome because it's in the middle of nowhere. You're on a stage. Your backdrop is the mountains, and everyone has plenty of space. It's not like there's 1,000 people there. There's like 100 people there, and there's plenty of space. And some people are sitting down, and everyone kind of gathers and does their thing. And then other people are like, hey,
No social distance.
Not at all.
Well, it's all outside though. So
it's all outside, and it's like not, people are there's everything from like, don't come near me to, this move where it's all,
right.
Then they roll in. And then there's Then there's the guy on the other end, or the lady on the other side of that, who's just brings it right in and is licking your face and like, oh God, you know. And so I'm there in the middle where I'm like, it's sort of like, it reminds me of back in the day when I used to run around following the Grateful Dead. People would be like, "Do you have scabies?"
Scabies.
No. Okay. Do you have bugs? Bugs. That was like the term. Do you have bugs?
Wow. Was scabies like a big issue during that tour?
Yeah. So imagine like everyone's on tour and one person shows up with it, and then that person's like, "Hey man, can I sleep in your van?" And then he sleeps in your van, and then everyone in the van now has it, and then those guys don't realize they have it for a couple days, and then and it's just body lice, man. And it's like,
oh, that's the worst. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I personally have never had it.
Yeah, I haven't had it either. Are you talking as far as like scabies or COVID?
Both.
Oh.
I just got a COVID test like Saturday.
Nice, dude. Yeah. I possibly got it in February, but you know, everyone says that like, oh, I think I got it like a while back, but it was just like, you know, like I had a hard time like breathing. It was a lot of chest problems. My throat hurt, you know, vomiting, all the usual stuff for a flu.
You had all the symptoms of COVID, but you didn't. But everyone's like, no, that wasn't it.
Well, it wasn't like it wasn't publicized then. Like no one really knew what it was.
Oh, right, February. Yeah. You were just sick.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I was kind of curious too, like with the whole like being able to play Dardanelles and doing like virtual concerts for like the Bright Orange Poppy and such. How do you personally feel about bands should go about getting their names out there like during the pandemic?
You know, so we're trying to get creative with that. We were sort of holding on to the old ideas of how do you get your music out there, and how do you keep your name relevant even in a small community, and literally like playing where we could play was okay, but it was really like far and few between. So one of the things that we're going to try to do is we're going to just start putting out singles, like, instead of full albums, do you like, here's a single, here's a single, here's a single, and kind of ditch the idea of putting together full albums, and ditch the idea of selling CDs and selling vinyl, because we're not making any money. So and so we don't have the money to like dump into, we you know, hypothetically we have the money for CDs, but nobody really wants CDs anymore. And I don't feel right about making a like disposable medium that's like pretty much garbage after you buy it. Like they buy it, maybe someone pops it in and saves it to their computer, gets it on their phone, and then it's over. But I buy vinyl, but vinyl is crazy expensive to like get done at like a reasonable level. And then you got to ship it and you got to do all that. So we kind of came up with the idea of like, since we're not gigging and making money there, we're just going to put out singles and just single, and it'll be like a cohesive 12 songs, but but it's not going to be an album. And then other than that, we're like, you know, coming up with ideas of being Skis Nava, the bass player, and I were like, let's take scenes from movies, take out all the sound, and rescore them our way. Like how this is what it would be with. This is I'm like releasing information that I'm sure Skis is like, don't tell everyone our secrets, but like just something to do, like musically that I feel like is different and creative and you know, keeps people who are interested in what we're doing like interested, basically.
Yeah, that's brilliant, dude. I mean, it checks every box for entertainment, you know.
Right? Yeah.
You can do a lot with
it
too.
And then the other thing I want to do, or we're already doing it, we just got hired to do this, is putting together like for podcasts and vlogs and stuff like that, being like, okay, here's a 30-second songs specifically for, like we just did one for Booked on Singency. We literally just sent him the tracks yesterday, and it's like, here's your intro, here's 2 breaks. We did 5 songs. So we did an intro, a couple breaks. We did like a background kind of a techno sounding song, and then an outro.
Sweet, dude.
And then it's royalty free, and it's just for you. Like you own it. You know what I mean? Like no one else can have it.
Yeah,
and really, it keeps us like super creative. Like we have to come up with like, what's your podcast about, or what's your vlog about, and then let's create something that's unique for that.
Oh, sweet. Well, I don't have an intro yet, so you're the guy for it. Yeah, that'd be awesome, man.
Yeah, I'll have to think about that one.
Yeah,
because I think you could go either way. It could be like some thrash metal, like hardcore, fast punk, something like that, or it could just be amazing like lounge music.
I think that'd be good.
Like the Girl from Ipanema type of music.
I could definitely see that. Yeah, I feel like thrash would be a little extreme for this podcast, especially because I mean, what I'm trying to do with this is like put other people on the map, and that's really all I want to do with it.
Yeah, promote
other people, because I know what it's like to like start up, and like I didn't really know what I wanted to do. You know, I'd like dip my toes in everything. Like, oh, I wanted to be a filmmaker when I was younger, and then I wanted to do music, and then like the last thing I did was stand-up comedy in Portland. You just kind of fight.
How is that? That is like a dream of mine, but that seems like the scariest thing beyond anything else. For me, it's the most frightening experience I could imagine.
Yeah, you're spot on about it, because it's just you. It's no different than when you do like you did your live sets at Embers, and it was just like you up there by yourself. You know, like you're the one running everything, no matter what.
You have a guitar.
Oh yeah.
You have like songs, and you're behind. You know, you're sort of protected.
Mm-hmm.
And if someone doesn't like a song, like they might tell you, they probably won't. But they'll be like, eh. But if you're not funny, dude, it's just silence. Like there's no faking comedy.
Yeah. I mean, I just loved going to like and seeing sets. Like it took me a while. Like you were saying, like I was just kind of feeling everything you were saying. It was a lot of nerves. I took a couple shots before I did my first set, and like luckily I didn't bomb. Like I didn't do bad.
All right.
But I have a feeling if I went back and did it after all this coronavirus stuff is over, I would kind of need to relearn everything I did. Yeah, it takes a lot of balls, dude. Like you're just up there, and if you bomb, like it hurts.
Yeah.
It really hurts.
Like sweat I could just like, you get those like hot sweats, and like, this is not how I imagined this moment.
No.
And it's like, I've never tried, I've like not tried comedy, but I've like said funny things between songs. And have bombed at that, and just been all, oh God, like that silence is painful.
I know. Well,
I give it up to you. That's super brave, man.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. And like what I was saying, like when people bomb up on stage, like there was this one girl, I felt really bad for her, but she was super ballsy. I mean, not ballsy. There's probably a different term for it.
She's so ballsy.
Yeah, she was a very strong, independent woman. Getting all feminist over here. But yeah,
when
man.
you say it like that, it's not much better. Come on.
Get a lot more PC viewers. Yeah, so she went on stage, and I think what she was attempting to do was to like roast the audience, like members she already knew, but you could tell like she was really like frightened about it. Like she was kind of back and forth a little bit in her head. She couldn't really like stare at the audience. She was looking away, and like she couldn't really connect.
Yeah.
You just got to put yourself out there, man. That's really what it is. Like, even if you bomb, like, you kind of learn after a while. I don't personally really know, but I've just kind of watched it a lot, so. I've done it once.
This move. Is this thing on? Oh, my God. I couldn't do it. I've like fantasized about it, but I couldn't do it.
Well,
I've gone to like open mic nights in Sacramento. Sarah and I went down there. We were down there for something else, and we were like, oh, let's go. You know, there's a open mic night at a comedy club. Never fathomed going up. Wasn't a thing.
Right.
We just sat in the audience, and people bombing was as entertaining, but in like a sadistic way.
Yes.
Of like, I'm just being all, oh, like it hurts to like see someone bomb. It's like, ugh.
Well, it's the most human thing, though, too. I kind of like that aspect of it, too, because you're completely vulnerable no matter how you think about it. Like, even if like you're the biggest celebrity doing stand-up, like, dude, if you bomb, you're just as normal as any of us. So
Yeah, and comedy's funny because it's like it's one of the most vulnerable things to do, but at the same time, it's like it's also like it's like also a huge form of defense, you know? It's like, I'm doing this so you can't do this to me type of, you know, like I'm going to expose this so you can't expose it, or I'm going to point the finger at myself, you know, all the self-deprecation and stuff like that.
yeah, no, definitely, man.
It's not, no, that's its own thing. I just imagine like, have you ever seen what movie was that? Punchline? I think it's Punchline.
I don't recall it. Just well, what is it? What's the?
So Tom Hanks is in it, and it's from like the 80s or early 90s. And there's a moment where like he bombs, and it's like witnessing someone have a mental breakdown. Like he bombs, like hard, like has a meltdown.
Oh my gosh.
And that's my fear. Just being all.
Well, so I know I listened to this podcast with. Do you know who Anthony Jeselnik is?
Ooh.
He does a lot of like dark
Sounds
comedy. He does a lot of like punchline type bits, and he said that he grew a beard so that people couldn't see the sweat that was like on top of his lips while he was doing his specials because he got that nervous.
Yeah, I could see that. I could totally see that.
Yeah, it makes
just because it's the scariest thing there is. I know guys who are hilarious who have tried stand-up, and it's like so difficult to watch.
It didn't work. It doesn't translate.
Well,
I think it's different than like when you're joking around with your friends as opposed to joking around with 20 people in a room with a microphone. Like it's this completely different.
Yeah, because it's not as conversational.
Mm-hmm. There's no back and forth about it.
Yeah, you can't like riff off of something. You can't like, you have to hold both sides of the conversation.
I also this is a little off topic, but it's still related to art and such. I know that you've been doing graphic design for like a really long time. And going through your portfolio, I noticed that a lot of your designs are around Sonora, like props, dude.
Yeah.
How do you go about getting new clientele these days? I asked this because my girlfriend has been doing graphic design for a while, and it seems to be like a slow build into getting your name out there.
Yeah, so, you know, up here it's difficult because there's just not that many businesses.
Right. And Same thing in SAC.
Yeah. So, and then if there are and they're already established, it's like, well, they don't need anything. So, and then these new businesses, it's like, well, they don't have any money.
Right.
Because they're a startup. So for me, it's just been a long road of just doing it. And like doing a really good job and working with people and working with within their budget. Because a lot of times, you know, people they say they have a new business, they've invested everything into this business and they don't have anything left over. And so, you know, a creative way to go around that is like, first of all, what can you afford? They're like, well, how much do you charge? And it's always, doesn't matter what you say, it's more than they can afford.
Oh, yeah, usually.
Because I mean, you could say it's $100, and they're like, "Oh man, I'm going to go to Fiverr.com," and
Yeah.
so there's a lot of that out there. So what ends up happening is one of the ways to go about it is simply just being like working out a deal, being like, "Okay, it's this much money, but you can pay it over this amount of time," or like when you get on your feet, we'll do this. I'll do half in trade. If they got a business that I want to trade with, or like, some of the business I work with, I'm on like a monthly stipend. So I get a monthly check, and there's months that it's like I'm overloaded with work, and it doesn't make like this month, say like a certain month in the year, I'm losing money big time because I'm doing so much work for them. But then 3 months after that, I don't do anything. And so it's like I got free money. So it evens out. So finding a business that wants like monthly work, if I could have like 10 of those guys, I'd be stoked.
Oh, I bet, man.
I'd be too busy.
Jeez, I mean, I didn't realize like graphic design that's like a big hustle, dude. You're like constant,
Yeah. It's just that's all it is. It's like and I'm luckily after 20 years, like I'm in a position that it just trickles in. So someone wants to do some sort of packaging for a new product they did, or they have a new idea and they want a website, or they, and someone wants a website, they don't realize that there's a lot more than just a website. There's, you already have to have a logo, and you have to have a copywriter, and you have to have photos, and you have to have layout, and then you're also sort of a counselor in the fact of like telling them, once you have a website, you have to get people to your website. Like you're not just going to magically make money.
Exactly.
You still have to have cards, and you still have to knock on doors. You still have to have your own hustle,
Yeah, gosh. That happened when I tried starting my, I was attempting to do like this dog walking business thing, which I did in Portland. I did really well, but like you kind of have to find your clientele too, like how you're saying, like with like restaurants and like opening businesses, startups and all that. I found that like a lot of like people in the medical field, such as like registered nurses, anyone that's working crazy hours, they like need their pets to get like walked or bathed, like either way.
Or paid attention to.
Yeah. It's a process, dude. Like it was really humbling, restarting all over again. And I've taken a break from it just because of COVID. Like I don't know if I'm going to be able to see anything for a while, but I feel you. Like I understand it. The hustle, the just like constant thought in your head of like, okay, like, what insanity is just doing the same thing over and over again. And I was like, how do I change like getting clientele this time? How, like we were saying with like doing payment plans so people don't just go to Fiverr instead. Got to think smart, dude.
Yeah. Or just out of the box, like think differently than your competition. And one of the best my dad was a graphic designer and an artist, and like one of the biggest things that I learned from him is if someone comes to you or you're trying to get someone's business, like learn everything there is about that business and like learn what they do and why they do it. And you want to come from the inside so that you're like, as a graphic designer or a commercial artist, like your job is to promote their business to their audience. So it's not necessarily, I think when I first started, it was like, this is cool. This is what you're going to want. Had nothing to do with what like they were trying to communicate or who they're trying to communicate to. So I don't know, like graphic design is such a low form of art because you're really like selling out over and over because what's good and what's like gonna work and you learn about their business and what's gonna sell and they're coming to you and they're paying you money to do this for them, but they still want that ownership over whatever the end creation is. So they're like, well, yeah, but can you, I know I'm a dentist, but can you put a dog in there with a tree and like can you? And all of a sudden you're like, dude, you're ruining this.
They want their 2 cents in. Yeah.
Yeah, they want something. They just have an idea of what they want, and then all of a sudden you find yourself like compromising what you know is good for money. So, graphic design is a monster, and it's why I like do art, and it's why I play music, and it's why I don't like play other people's music, and I don't know a lot of covers, and it's because I literally this morning had a conversation where we were talking about the podcast music stuff. And he was like, dude, we could, someone could call us and we could, with the equipment that we have, we could put it out in a day. And I'm all, no, I don't want to do that. Like, and I don't want a boss. And like,
yeah,
I don't want, I've got that already in my life. I've got like 50 bosses telling me what they want their artwork to be. So it's like, when it comes to music and my personal art and my private life, it's like, I want the freedom to just explore and be creative and be big and have big ideas and throw up shit everywhere.
I heavily relate to everything you do, man. Like just from scrolling through your even your YouTube channel, Hard Shell, the music video you did was all DIY. Even that clothing line ad you did on your YouTube channel as well, I believe is for I'm not remembering the name. Victory.
Victory.
Victory, yeah. Victory clothing line.
That's Joey Garcia. Do you know Joey?
I don't think so, but that name definitely sounds familiar.
Yeah. That video, actually, I didn't do that.
Oh, you didn't?
No, that was done by somebody else.
Oh, okay.
And I was doing building a website with them, and they had a video, but they didn't have, I needed to get the video on the website so I needed to embed it from YouTube to get it onto the website.
Oh, that
so I
makes
just
sense.
I put it on my channel. I didn't know it was public.
Oh,
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it turned out good, man. But yeah,
and that music video of Hard Shell literally is like, there was another band. There was like a contest that you could be in this festival if you turned in a video.
Oh.
And so a friend of mine, their band, they spent all this money and they had all this equipment and they had all this editing, like top end gear, and they're all like pros at it. Mm-hmm. And I woke up that morning and I'm going to make one too with my iPhone.
Right.
And with iMovie. And that's what I did. It was just all walking around with a selfie stick and iMovie all by myself. And now that you know that, if you watch the video again, you'll be all, that's so cheesy. Because there's parts where I just like put it on a tripod and I'm all like in slow motion.
That makes sense. Yeah. I was just curious, as to saying that it's a contest, that brings a little more context to me. But was film ever a passion of yours? Because I just from looking through all your Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff, YouTube, it seems like you delve into it a little bit. You delve into every piece of just creatives,
a tiny bit.
Yeah.
Only because it's an awesome medium to it's such an awesome way to visually explain something in a really short amount of time.
Yeah. No, definitely, dude.
Like that cat video.
I love that one. Yeah.
Dude, it's just all, we're back on whatever, purple. And I'm like, and literally when I found that out, my cat jumps on my table and it starts drinking my water. I'm like, this is perfect,
I'll edit that in. Yeah, that video's hilarious, dude.
Yeah, same as it ever was. Nothing changes.
Yeah, I've done a fair amount. In the beginning, like I was saying, I wanted to be a filmmaker when I was younger. And I made all these, to me they're cringy, but to all my aunts and stuff, oh, they're so great, they're so cute. But I can't watch them.
Yeah.
And over time,
are you in them? You're in them.
Yeah, I'm in all of them. I could send you. I mean, I had my first rap music video I did. My dad recorded it and such, and where I was doing these weird 70s dance moves, which I can't pull off anymore. I don't know where they came from.
Awesome.
But yeah, I mean, just from being a creative, I found out that you have to prepare a lot. Everything is about preparation if you want to be professional,
Yeah.
So
you have to have a plan. Yeah, totally.
An idea of what you want to get done. Recently I've been working on this Vader film, which is just going to be like Darth Vader goes on vacation. That's the premise of it.
Awesome.
And the song behind it is going to be my producer, Chris Finster from Bridge City Sessions. He just did the vocals for this song, Johnny Cash is Hurt, but he did it in the voice of Vader. Yeah. And it's just a music video. I storyboarded all of it. I wrote the whole script, and we're just waiting to get it done, really, just like filming it. A lot of special effects stuff.
How detailed are your storyboards? Like,
good, finally, because when I first started drawing storyboards, they were very confusing because I'm not an artist at all.
And you don't have to be, right, to be a storyboarder. I mean, it's a lot of, you can get away with stick figures in storyboarding, right?
Yeah, you just have to know what kind of shots you want. For me, like I Photoshop. Like, yeah, like full shots, medium, full, all those kinds of things.
And like, there's like, I know nothing about it. I know a tiny bit about it just from like watching like behind the scenes kind of stuff. And it's like, there's certain like things that are like very specific. Like this is a zoom and this is a pan. And there's like symbols that you use. Maybe they're personal.
No, that's exactly what it is. I took that connections class in Somerville. Didn't your son take connections at one point, Jaden?
Yeah, did he take the movie one? He was there. He went there.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's what taught me how to do like storyboarding and such.
Yeah.
But it's all a process, dude. I'm also curious, did you ever go to art school? Because like I also was scrolling through your Instagram and like you did all these portraits and such, and they turned out really good, dude.
So yeah, I did.
You did?
I went to So I went to a private high school that had an art program, and I did 3 years there, and then I did my final year at Willow Glen High School and was in like the AP art program, and then from there I went to just Cabrillo over in Santa Cruz.
Oh, nice.
And took some art classes there, but I ended up going to the Art Institute in Seattle.
Oh, wow.
And finished up there. But that was really for visual communications. That was like for graphic design.
Oh, and just graphic design.
What I wanted to do was illustration. I wanted to do graphic illustration.
Graphic illustration. So what would that like? What would be an example of that? It's kind of hard. So anytime that there's like, if you're going through like a New Yorker magazine and the cover of New Yorker magazine is always done by an illustrator, or like if you open an article and instead of like a photograph, like, and it's an expose on Feinstein, right? Oh, okay.
And they've got some like creepy like cartoon of like Feinstein being all creepy, like that would be an illustrator.
Oh, nice, man.
And that was like my dream. That was like the dream job. I found out like almost instantly, like that is like the rock stars of the graphic design world, where like there's like 20 at a time in the world that are getting all the work.
Wow.
And basically everyone else is trying to break into that world.
Jeez, man.
But I mean, it's also like children's books is an illustrator, and like
okay.
Anything that you see in a medium that's like artwork instead of photographs.
Sweet, dude.
Yeah.
I also got this text from my dad because I was just the fondest memory I have of like hanging out with you guys was when you were recording the Little Fuller Band over at our place.
Oh yeah.
And he told me a little bit about the experience. If you want me to read it for you.
Yes, I do.
Okay. So
I was just talking about your dad today.
Oh, really? Nice, man. All right. So he said, haha, yeah. I think they were all pretty wasted. Charlie was always late. One time I made Charlie rake the yard because he wasted 3 hours of my day making me wait.
That's funny.
But I sucked at recording, or at least wasn't very good at it. Got better at it after some training from my buddy who was an engineer, but that was a year or so later. All new recording equipment, but yeah, I recorded them for free, so some days it would blow if we had to do takes over and over again for drunk Charlie.
Or me, because literally So I remember being like, I wasn't a lead guitar player at all. I could play rhythm and pretty much cowboy chords.
I didn't know
And
that.
so, and we would sit in there and I had to do like an acoustic lead over some song. And I would sit there and just be like, I would sit there and like with each note and be like, okay, these are the notes I'm going to play. There was no, it was like math.
Wow.
Yeah.
All improving it.
And your dad would sit there and just be all, do it again. Do it again.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
But as far as him not knowing what he was doing, it was a really good recording.
Yeah. As far as my dad's place goes, there was a lot of like those 3-hour jam sessions, and I figured you were like a lead guitarist because you could definitely improv like really well. Even on 3 to Get, dude. Like I noticed like it's kind of like a funk rock, almost a little bit of blues with some Rush in there. Am I noticing a little bit of a Rush influence? I thought I noticed it.
No, but I'll take it. They're not my favorite band, but
Space rock band.
They're amazing. Like I don't really listen to them, but they're an incredible band. Totally offended.
Oh yeah, totally offended.
Yeah. So after the Little Fuller Band ended, it was like I wanted to play electric guitar, and so that is a total. I thought I was just gonna be able to go and put down the acoustic and pick up the electric, and they're the same instrument, and they're not. And I learned that pretty quickly, and played with some guys, and they like gave me some tips, and then I just sat there and learned scales and like and focused in on the music that I love and want to emulate, like Rush.
Like Rush.
and the improv part is like, I don't know. I think there's like a little trick there to where it's like, I want to give off the impression that it is improv, but the reality is like a lot of those, there's like improv parts, but the solos now are like, they're written out. They're like, if you saw us live, you'd be like, oh, that's the part that's written out, and then here's the part that is more free. And really the long-term goal is to be able to do more of the improv. And I just think that takes time in a band. We've as this 3-piece has been together, it's been just a little over a year.
Oh,
and
okay.
And most of that has been in COVID, you know, so it's had different forms, and what we have now is this really tight little 3-piece.
Yeah, man. Like as far as improv goes, like you could do like an hour-long set of just literally like everyone like riffing with each other, you know?
Yeah. Well, yeah, but you want to, I would like, with that said, like,
Or 3 hours.
Yeah.
Maybe even
like,
4.
With
I
that
don't know.
said, it has to be more than masturbation, you know? Like I could do 4 hours and just like, we're only entertaining ourselves, but I also want the people listening to be entertained as well. And sometimes that gets like really confusing as far as like, I like to get lost. I like when shit falls apart. And so, because I like to get out of it.
Right. The whole punk rock attitude.
Like, yeah. It's like in the jungle and then like find your way back to the path kind of thing. And, but you have to go into that in your band with like that agreement. Like you have to go in and be like, I'll follow you. If you want to get out of this, I'll follow you. Like someone has to be brave enough and have that communication to be like, I'm leaving, like I'm getting out of this little box that we've created and I'm going to take us this way, and paying attention to it all in order for it to continue to be entertaining and not just being like, okay, dude, you've been sitting in E for the last hour.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a lot of like body language between like bands too, if you notice live.
Yeah.
Like you can tell just like with the head nods and such, especially with Metallica, because like Lars Ulrich is like, he's always off. He's never, he's never playing the right drum beats. And you can tell James is just kind of annoyed.
Yeah. He's looking around at the audience like, see?
Yeah.
This is why we yell at him.
Pretty much, dude. I know I saw an article with like Lars recently where he was talking about like everyone complaining about him, like his drumming has just gotten worse over years. He's like, I have nothing left to prove. You know?
Yeah, right.
I did everything in Master of Puppets and Justice for All, so I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, and it's sort of true. I don't know, like you have nothing to prove either, you know, like
Right.
and neither do I. Like
It's kind of an excuse.
I definitely don't play music because, like, I want to say this correctly. I definitely don't play music to just continue to play what I've always played.
Right.
And so, like, if you've gotten worse over the years, that sort of sucks. That would be like so heartbreaking to me.
Well, like
I've heard stories of guys like getting strokes and like losing control of their hand, and they like bust their ass to like get it back. And I've heard of stories of like Scott Pemberton like broke his back or something, and so he learned how to play he was a ripping guitar player this way, but then he learned how to play guitar this way, and he's like better because he sat like in a chair with a guitar in his lap for like a year just practicing guitar.
Just a little bit of discipline. Yeah, I mean, I think as far as like bands go though, like Lars, there's always someone in the band that's like running things, you know, as far as like management goes and merch and all that. So he does take care of that. Maybe that might be why.
His job.
Yeah, that's like a big part of his job.
You can't lose him.
No.
I can't replace him. Yeah. Yeah, I think in the Three to Get, we all have a niche.
Oh,
we
really?
all do something outside of the band that like benefits the band. Skis is like the master at making phone calls and booking us. And you know, in the middle of COVID, we played down in Oakdale at a brewery, and all of a sudden it was like, oh my God, breweries are open. We can play breweries. And immediately he's like calling every brewery from like San Diego to Seattle. You know, like, hey. Trying to put together a tour during COVID. And, you know, not all breweries have bands, and definitely like during this time, they can't pay any money. So we're still in Twain Hart doing this.
Yeah, I relate to that, man. I also kind of want to mention, you posted on Instagram about Parlor, this like new app that's like basically got like a bunch of Republicans flocking to it. Yeah. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's going to be a lot of like Proud Boy bullshit on there, personally.
Yeah, I don't know what it's going to be. I think it's going to just fail is what's going to happen. Yeah, I think like I don't see it as being supported enough to like be successful. I don't really care. I mean, you know, they talk about, you know, free speech and all this stuff, and it's like, dude, or uncensored. Huh. Is that what it is? It's uncensored. Think so,
yeah,
speech,
uncensored.
Is what Parlor's about. And I've never felt censored on Facebook. But I've also never like, you know, said something racist or tried to disparage someone or threaten someo's life.
Yeah.
So I've never felt censored on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. There was some massive conservative. I can't even remember his name. I wish I could remember his name, but he basically bought a shit ton of stock in Parlor and then was like, you know, like Moses, and was like, follow me to Parlor.
Oh,
and
God.
and I over the last 4 years, I basically have stopped paying attention to a lot of the ranting of people who are conservative but they just have an opinion. They don't have any. They're not an expert, and they're not they're not studying anything. They're just kind of repeating what they've heard.
Right.
So I basically just stopped listening to that on my social media, and though it'll still pop up. And that's what I saw. All of a sudden, all these conservative people that are friends with me on social media, I saw this Parlor stuff and just like, follow me and come to Parlor.
No.
Like, oh my God.
I'm good.
And there's been a few of those things. Like Parlor's not the first to try to steal from Facebook, which I hope there's something that is as entertaining and less whatever Facebook is, that I would love to find a different medium that doesn't like control my presence by the amount of money I invest in their medium. You know, like if I want to share my music on my band page, they want me to give them $15.
Stupid. I've been hearing about that.
Yeah, super dumb.
Super stupid, dude. I got a lot of copyright strikes just because like I play over a lot of people's music. I do like guitar covers, like usually monthly.
Yeah.
Same shit, man. Like my videos get like taken down. So
yeah. Well, and then at that point, like there is like a certain amount of time that you can play it where you're not infringing on copyright, but it's really short. It's like less than 30 seconds.
that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I got hit up for that for the Talking Heads video, which is like 30 seconds long. And they're like, "Do you have the rights to this?" Well, yeah, yes I do. No, I don't have the rights to that, but like I took the responsible, whatever it is. It's like I'm responsible for whatever. You know, like Facebook isn't responsible for the content of this video. I had to like agree to that. I'm pretty sure the Talking Heads are not going to sue me.
Probably not.
For the 30-second video.
For a 30-second cat video, which, gives them publicity.
I think I have like 100 views.
Oh, going viral, bro.
I know. They might hit me up for like 10% of my net profit off that video.
10%. $2, a half of $2.
That's like the law. That's copyright law. That's like the extent of it. Cease and desist and 10% of the profits you've made off the copyright. Pretty sure that's it. Don't quote me.
That makes sense. I was also curious. I knew that you brought this up before. You worked at a battered women's center. What was that like?
So it's not a battered women's center. It's a
it's
center
not?
for a nonviolent community.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. Because actually, what it started off as, the organization started off as specifically helping women who needed help, who were like in an abusive relationship or in a relationship that they needed to get out of because their children were being abused or something like that. And they started to branch out from that and started a children's program for what at the time they called at-risk youth, for kids from 6th to 8th grade, and then all the way up to 12th grade. And they wanted someone who had like enough life experience, but wasn't specifically involved in counseling.
Oh, okay.
And so I had, I worked at Dodge Ridge for years and worked with the public for years. And so I applied for the job, and it was awesome. It was amazing. It was heartbreaking. I
bet, man.
It was everything. There were some like really amazing moments, like working and watching kids who, specifically within a specific school community of these kids who's like either, 50% of the population that I worked with, like one of their parents was in prison.
Oh my God.
And then 50% of that, it was like both parents were absent and they were in foster care. So, and these are kids who literally no adult was there for them to be like, hey, I just want, you don't have to do anything to impress me. And I'm just here to have, do crafts or like, the program we developed was making movies.
Wow.
We took this after school group and we're like, okay, you're in control. You guys are the directors. You're going to write it. You're going to act in it. We're going to help you edit it. And to watch over just in like a 2-year span, doing that a couple times, watching these kids go from, having on a path that looked pretty scary from an adult's perspective, to like knowing that they could trust more the choices that they could make on their own. And there's a statistic that it just like takes one adult in a kid's life that makes a positive impression and gives them the feeling of like they're worth something, and that can change a kid's life forever.
Oh yeah, for sure. Huge.
So
influence.
I got to do that for 2 years. It was awesome.
That's amazing, man. Yeah, I mean, there should definitely be more programs like that. You know?
Yeah, right. There are in bigger cities. It's the rural towns that are up, in the central California, like in that. Once you pass the valley and you get into these smaller towns of, 50,000 in the whole county.
Yeah,
it's like you have these tiny little schools, with one heartbreak just sends shockwaves into that community. So, and then. We have a prison that's like not that far away, and their kids have to go to school somewhere. And so in our community, we specifically have an elementary school that like has a large amount of kids that like need attention in a positive way. Not like everyone knows how to get bad attention. I can throw a rock through a window and someone's going to pay attention to me, but like
sure.
To be able to give someone the attention for doing like good work and doing positive work, and the attention to feel, that lifts you up and is like, you become like, instead of a bystander of someone like helping them, you're like raising people up. You're an active part of the community. And you can do it, dude. I'm pretty sure like anyone can go and apply to like an after school program.
Oh, that's
like,
great, dude.
Yeah, dude. I was making like at the time, like it was my full-time job, and I think they were paying me like $12 an hour.
Oh, well, it's not bad.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad. But, it's not something I think most adults most like guys over 35 would choose to do.
Yeah.
But it was one of the most enriching things. I think it had a huge, huge impact in changing my life and like how I viewed the world, and I got trained in like nonviolent communication, and I got a massive like dose of like equality and women's rights and children's rights and elderly rights and basically like really put in my place about what being a white male in the United States is, and like how easy it is.
A lot of privilege.
Well, it's simply put, like the night of the election, it was like, what's going to happen and who's going to win and Trump's ahead and all this stuff. And my wife's freaking out and the kids are not happy. And I get home from work and I'm all, you know what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who wins. We're going to get through it no matter what, and everything's going to be okay. And the reality is that is sort of my reality. I'm a white male, and if Trump won, I got to listen to his shit for another 4 years. But I'm pretty sure, like, I'm still going to make my rent, and I'm going to put gas in my car, and I'm going to feed my family and all that. But then I watched this CNN kind of interview, and I can't remember his name, but he's like, he's a guy on there he's like a regular interviewer or whatever.
Oh,
and,
I think Anderson Cooper or something?
No. No, he's a black guy. I can't remember his
okay.
name. So anyway, he starts talking about it. Now that he starts speaking on like how Biden has pulled ahead and these votes are coming in and like he's going to win. Biden's going to win. And in the middle of this guy just starts crying. Wow. And he's like, it's going to be a good day tomorrow. And like, I don't have to worry about my children don't have to worry.
Yeah.
And like my sister can go to Walmart and she doesn't have to be afraid. And like, and I think like going back to my point of being like taught all this stuff at CNBC, without the training I got there, I don't think I would have seen that and like been able to go once again, like what I just told my kids was like one of the biggest like white privilege things you could say. This isn't going to affect our life. Like it affects millions of people, millions and millions of people. I mean, and really it will affect my life. I'll be a happier person when that guy stops tweeting.
Yeah, fuck. It's been garbage forever, man.
Like I went back 4 years ago as soon as he started tweeting, and like on my Facebook, it's just like, I can't believe this is real. Like I can't believe this is reality, where we have a president who's like misspelling words to the public about stuff that's like, it's over. We got a couple. I hope it's over. I hope he just walks away. I don't know if that's going to happen. But.
I don't know. He's a bit of a Karen about it. I'm sure there's going to be, like, he was going to go to court.
Oh yeah.
Over the election.
Yeah. You know it's bad when you consider yourself like, I'm not even like a far left. I'm like left of center, and at one point I was like, God, I would give anything to have George W. Bush be the president again.
What? Really?
and you know it's bad when that's coming out of my mouth.
Oh,
because
yeah, sure.
When George Bush was president, I was like, it can't get any worse. And I was like, please, just somebody. Anybody but him.
Anybody, yeah. No, really. I mean, Biden isn't like necessarily the best. Like I personally, I either wanted Yang or Bernie. But I think Bernie was just, I think he was more advertising towards the youth as opposed to Biden was like hitting, you know,
the voters.
Older people, middle-aged, everyone really.
Yeah, you know what? Honestly, like, I think it was the day Biden had a speech when he finally like said, you know, I accept this or whatever it was, and the root of his speech was really about unity, and I know that's all lip service. I want to believe it's not, but like what is apparent is that the two-party system is over, and I'm like as the older generation is fading out and the younger generation is coming, I just hope that belief grows, that like a real independent who's like, this is important on this side, this is important on this side. You can have a marriage of the two instead of this insane divide. It's
stupid, dude. And I mean, the whole idea of like Republican and Democrat just splits us apart, and especially during like Trump, man, he really was just trying to just divide us as far as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think all politicians, I think they're all doing that. I think that's how they stay in, you know, that's divide and conquer is like one of the oldest ways of staying in power that there is. And it's like these politicians, I mean, all the way down to the county level, like, you know, we think about our supervisors, and we just had a supervisorial election, and it got dirty, like really dirty, and like personal stuff came up in people's lives, and it was gross. And it was like, it's because this guy's making $50,000 as a side job,
right?
To have that job, and it comes down to, well, like, how do I win? How do I win? How do I keep my $50,000 bonus? That's like a side job. The guy's got a day job. And it's like divide and conquer. And I think that we're becoming, because of social media, because the exposure of like information, I think that me being at the top end of like this, like the generation, I'm at the bottom end of Generation X, but like I'm in Generation X. And all the generations below me, I think are exposed to this information and are aware of like this divide, and we're aware of this mentality that just doesn't work anymore. It's like this mentality of like cloak and dagger shit and all this stuff where it's like, just be transparent. That's why Bernie did so well, because he was like, here you go, like,
yeah, he's honest.
Here's my life, I'm old, you know, and everything was on display, like his entire career. You couldn't touch that dude and get dirt on him.
No, I mean, he was at like Martin Luther King's, all of his rallies and such.
He made shit up about him to divide and conquer. They just made shit up about him.
It's rather sad, man. I would have personally rather had him rather than Biden. But here we are. It's better than Trump. I'll say that much.
Yeah. Yeah, Bush is better than Trump.
Yeah, Bush
So
is better
Biden
than
is
Trump.
amazing.
I fucking agree with you. All right, Tim. I really appreciate you being on the podcast today.
Yeah. Thanks
All
for
the
having
links
me.
down below. 3 to get. Website, timmccaffrey.com. Hit that shit up, guys.